All right. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Engineering the Markets. My name is Jared. It is April 27th, 2022. Happy Wednesday to everybody. And we'll start off today by just taking a quick look at where we sit for the week. Fairly volatile overall couple of sessions this week. We saw yesterday's price activity completely reverse the Monday recovery bounce that occurred, kind of setting up the beginning of the week. And a lot of this volatility is coming on the heels of a very jam-packed earnings week. So when we look at the SPX expected move, we are seeing a bit of a drive towards that lower bound. Keeping in mind that if the SPX were to tag or expand outside of this area, it would represent a technical breakdown in the market. We would see basically fresh lows relative to year to date, and that would represent sort of a new search for some relative bottoming action, especially if you are looking for reversal points or areas to define risk and potentially look at profiting your short positions. So the SPX did come into that area. The SPY itself, some after hours trade indicative that we did get to those levels. You'll notice that 413 was tagged after hours. 4137 is the SPX expected move. The SPY expected move not quite as wide. We did tag that in yesterday's session to the downside. That can be seen with something like a automated expected move study. But overall, the market has been driving lower. We're seeing lots of downside volatility coming right into earnings and even slightly before. And most of our index markets have printed new fresh lows. So the NASDAQ is closing outside of the previous poor low that was established back in February and March. So we are getting a relative close outside of this range. We have a little bit of historical price activity down to about 316, and that's going to represent for the NASDAQ a 52-week low. So for example, if I'm measuring price activity dynamically, the NASDAQ going lower than 316 is the lowest price that it has seen in the most recent 52 weeks. We did, of course, see that in after hours. And the market so far has had a nice sort of counter trend move against that on some of the earning reactions that we had last night. And then last but not least, our Russell as well, similar concept here. Not only we're making new absolute lows, but there's a mild close outside of this area. So the market would need to sort of recover and look to change the trend to get back into this trading range. Otherwise, the downside risk here is still to the downside. It's obviously opening up a new potential trading range for us to evaluate moving forward. So all in all, markets pressing lower. Worth discussing some of the earnings reactions, and I want to talk through it mostly from the quantitative position. Once again, lots of what we discussed yesterday, and even if you joined RD's session, you'll know that there was plenty of discussion about expected move. What you'll see in Microsoft's earnings is overall the initial reaction to the numbers. That's usually going to be this 5-minute range here. Put this on a 5-minute chart. You get this 5-minute range. There are some strategies that are employed to sort of go against the range once it breaks, and obviously to play any sort of expansion through it. But did Microsoft move anything out of the ordinary? Obviously, it pushed to the top side once this range was officially breached, and we're seeing, at least for the moment, a relative top at about 289. So is that outside of what the market was expecting? Well, if we go to the option market and we do what we did yesterday, you'll note that Microsoft's expected move for this earnings reaction, just waiting for my pin to load here, the one thing I didn't have on. Microsoft's expected move for this reaction was approximately this expected move. And just as a reminder, how do you get this number? You're looking at the money straddle. This is a rough and dirty way to do it. At the money straddle at close. So 270 represents about what the market expects Microsoft to move. You'll note that from 270 to 289, that is 19 points. Market expected this type of movement, and so far we are staying within those bounds. So all in all, the reaction is relative bullish from the close, but it is not out of the ordinary. It is an expected bullish reaction in regards to the movement itself. Same idea with Google. We'll use this one as opposed to Google simply because there was higher volume interest on yesterday's session. So the numbers would represent much better as long as people are trading inside this product more heavily. What you'll notice again, about $185 expected move from yesterday's close of about 23.73, and looking at the absolute low of the reaction itself, about 22.07. So this one probably right within those bounds, didn't exactly get that full 185, 190 kind of expansion, but overall staying within those price limits. So bearish reaction, but expected. And then last but not least, Visa, once again, bullish reaction overall. Market was pricing in about a $12 to $13 expected move. And based on the close of 201, we're looking at the top side at about 213. Now, you want to keep in mind that anytime the after hours moves the expected move, the weekly expected move is still in play. Obviously, it's not Friday, so a lot of these stocks can move more. And obviously, the reaction from earnings will start to reduce this expected move as people take profit and the implied volatility contracts. What you can often do, however, is look and see, is there higher open interest at higher or lower prices than what the market was expecting overall. So for example, with Visa, we're actually seeing a bit more open interest once we get above 215. If that does turn into sort of a bullish move for Visa, the option market actually has some inventory or some open interest at 220, 222, 225. It's essentially laddered. And, once again, just applying some nuance here, stocks like Microsoft have that as well, but for the most part, this is always stacked. So there's really nothing notable here outside of the fact that if Microsoft were to move higher, this would certainly be in place for it to make that transition. You compare that with something like Google, and while this is lower open interest simply because the notional value is much higher, you'll notice that this is not really prepared for Google down at these prices. So for it to recover from here, at least on the option market side, there really isn't much of a ladder to help it topside. There also isn't really much of a ladder downside until we crack 2200. And then you'll see that the open interest tends to stay within the 3 digits. So as we are looking ahead and moving into the next day of earnings, obviously we want to start looking at what's reporting this morning. The likes of, the likes of Boeing, that should have just come out right before starting this session. Couple of notable, I would say, real estate companies to look out for, maybe American Tower. This is a really big 5G player. It's also one of those real estate holdings that actually hasn't been impacted by some of the downside in consumer or residential housing, more of a commercial slash using different materials to build their infrastructure, along with funding coming from different sources. ADP, and then as you go down the list, you'll probably notice not too much of significance, maybe Kraft Heinz and General Dynamic might be one to watch, but overall, these are lower impact companies. Now, shifting into tonight, we do have the likes of, can I go back to page one? The likes of Meta. So obviously, Meta kind of sits in that large market cap zone. It's not quite the behemoth it used to be, especially recently. We're looking at approximately a $600 billion company, still very large, but not necessarily shaking and moving like a Microsoft or even stocks like Google. So more communication focused, more ad revenue focused. You may want to look into Google's earnings and kind of see what were some of the main sticking points and how the market rewarded or hurt based on the reaction from ad revenue resources, along with the number expectations that may have been met or not met. I know Google certainly missed on a few of those metrics. Also, additionally, Qualcomm, just back into that semiconductor space. And then as you move down the list, you'll see, some similar names that we like to trade, the PayPals, maybe Ford, Amgen, more on the healthcare side. And also just looking at what's on deck, even though it's not tonight, we did have Visa report. So, someone in the chat just mentioned MasterCard, kind of a sympathy play in regards to Visa. Visa's reaction so far has been net bullish. Hasn't been outside of expected move, but at least in regards to maybe some thesis for MasterCard, you have a slight sympathy play in effect. And that can be very powerful if you have some of that information going into an earnings. So, yeah, overall, we're still in the throes of relative volatility. We still have lots of earnings to review and look at moving forward. But as we get into where is the total market sentiment right now, we're definitely seeing that vol expansion as expected from last week. So VIX remains elevated. This is vol futures, but looking at the VIX, we did breach that 30. We actually closed above, so it is a broken level. And more importantly, we did enter backwardation yesterday on volatility futures. You'll note that, for example, short-term volatility on the active contracts, for some reason that's not showing active, even though it should be, are priced higher than the back month contracts, the June compared to the May. So this is backwardation. It's fairly mild overall, but we just entered it. So can it continue? Can it sort of widen out? Absolutely. What are we looking for bullish plays? We're probably looking for volatility to subside. One of the best bullish moves this market has seen was once volatility changed its trend. So a very simple if-then scenario, if we get a reduction in volatility, the market could potentially see a more bullish move off of whatever low is printed. We obviously don't know what the absolute lows are at the moment. Additionally, what we could see is some short-term readings in regards to everyone sort of looking in one direction. One thing that you can use is some aggregate put to call ratios. This is P call, and this is a put call ratio for all option clearing corp options, OCC. And Right now, what you'll notice is there are some readings here that stand out. For example, Feb 24th. This was the absolute lows that were printed just a month and a half ago. And you'll notice that this is a pretty significant inflection when you're looking at what is essentially an oscillating type ratio. You'll also notice things like Jan 21st and 24th, same idea, relatively high readings on the put to call ratio that actually led to short-term capitulation style events. Everybody was essentially short. The puts overrode the calls by a ratio of about 1.1 to 1.15. And then, of course, the market inverted and flipped to the long side. So when everybody was looking bearish, when puts were kind of the creme de la creme, then of course the market found bottoms and the opposite effect occurred. So a bit of a contrarian indicator. It can be used for tops as well. So keep in mind, where did the S&P top out, especially on this more, like straight up rally that we had off the lows. Well, we topped out approximately on March 30th, March 29th. Let's look at P-call once again and talk about March 30th and 29th, relatively low readings in the P-call. So puts were not really favorable. Obviously, the calls overrode the puts by over 2 times, at least by this ratio's reading. So those inflection points are more for the very aggressive, readings in regards to absolute highs and absolute lows. But what they can give you a sense of is, are we near some bottom? Are we near some top? Usually if this is starting to flash in those inflection levels, that's when you're starting to pay attention. And then of course at 0.5, this is basically when things are pretty much neutral to average. I think I got the numbers a little bit wrong on the call side, but basically you're looking at a zero line for the ratio and then high readings and low readings, very oscillator style indicator. Couple of things still on deck here. We have a very strong dollar at the moment. A lot of this is being driven by what's happening in Japan. There's basically a rush from other countries into the US dollar, along with some relative fear. A lot of people turn to the dollar in times of uncertainty. And just treat this like you would any other technical aspect. Is there anything about this chart that looks like the dollar is going down anytime soon? Not yet. We're certainly getting a bit long in the tooth for the dollar trade. I would say that this is almost going parabolic in some sense. And what we can be looking for is, okay, the dollar is probably getting to an inflection point pretty soon, of which we'll simply be looking for a reaction. Is the market starting to stall at this point, or is it blasting through this with no resistance in sight? We're not quite home yet, but we need to start paying attention to it. That inflection point that I just marked is actually a very important one, because it is the top side after the seated lows were brought into the market overall. So this volatility range that we saw during the crash of 2020 is indicative of a very notable inflection point for the dollar, one that actually established the 2021 downtrend, and then of course bottoming action that we saw mid-year last year. So dollar on deck, definitely in focus. You may want to pay attention as well, especially as a bull for the market. If the dollar were to inflect strongly at some point, that could indicate a little bit of relative strength back into equities. It can also indicate some relative strength coming back into the metals. Overall, the metals really haven't taken a downside move too impactful. but they've lost some momentum on their first rally. For example, gold is pulling back to the 20 period on the weekly. I would say that if the dollar were to inflect, gold might offer this as more of a buy the dip opportunity. We'll obviously need to see some short-term trends start to change back into favor, but don't count gold out just yet. Basically, gold has consolidated, bigger time frame. The monthly right now is still in a period of pivot, but the weekly and the daily are trying to hold on to some of those supports. And if we see the dollar contract, this would be typically relatively positive for the metals. Also, again, notice how resilient the metals are in a rising dollar environment. So this might simply be holding back the move in metals, of which if the dollar were to contract a bit, metals might have their time in the spotlight. So I think we often look at crude and natural gas. There was some news from natural gas yesterday in regards to payment for natural gas being enforced and some halting of natural gas supply to, I believe, Poland and Bulgaria, last I read. Those two mostly related to ruble payments being enforced. And, you know, there were some relative deadlines as to when that's going to be enacted. So for me, nat gas continues to be more of a technical picture. Overall, the pullback is to the 20. We're also pulling back to swing highs. So if this market is to continue, this is going to be basically a counter against a parabolic move. To me, nat gas is still a little bit overextended, bigger picture. Definitely risk to the downside if we see a trend change up here. So far, all we've gotten is a parabolic top and then a pullback. We'll want to see if this pullback is met with consolidation or if we actually see change of trend and sort of loss of momentum. So that kind of simplifies things in regards to not needing to know the news too much. So I think that's pretty much it for today. I know a couple people wanted to look at maybe some up and coming earnings. So we'll look at Meta, for example, probably our biggest one on deck. You know, at least as of right now, we're sitting on a stock that's in very weak position, relative downtrends on pretty much all time frames. You know, I don't know about you, but I don't look much higher than the monthly. But there are some trend lines that we're getting close to. These trend lines represent absolute lows on monthly time frames. And as we are getting into earnings, we might want to say, well, does the expected move bring us into these trend lines? i.e., if we actually see more downside in a stock like Meta, does it bring us to a trend line support? And then can we be looking for the counter move, the breach or slight test, and then of course the counter move back to the upside? Well, let's take a look at that real quick. The likes of Meta right now, remember this is not set for earnings. We still have today's trade to change these numbers. But as of right now, Meta is sitting at about 175. You'll note after hours, a lot of things took more downside, especially in the NASDAQ, simply because there was some hedging going on. A lot of the after hours trade was actually quite seamless in regards to the downside. But Meta, let's just say, opens up at 175. Let's also assume that Meta basically closes at 175 to make this simple. We're looking at currently about a $23 expected move. So big picture, don't know where we're going to close. I don't know how much larger this expected move is going to be. Let's just say 175 and a $25 expected move. That matches currently what the at the money straddles are pricing at. The 180s are priced at that $25. You know, we did close at 180. We're just opening up around 175. And What this means is, what's our downside look like? Looks somewhere between 160, 155, 150. What's our upside look like? 175, 25 points to the upside, about 200. This is where the expected move is. We've seen a lot of stocks respond very well, especially in the tech sector, to their expected move. Google did, Microsoft did, Netflix didn't, but Netflix overall not quite a tech stock and not necessarily same relative expectation of movement. But looking at the nuance here, where's all the open interest to the downside? It's at 150. So if the market were to go lower, 150 stands out pretty heavily. Where's all the volume and open interest to the top side? Well, it's kind of focused in here, close to 200, and there's probably a little bit of a standout here at about 190. Can that change? Absolutely. But this is what the option market says right now. You might want to look at this closer to today's close to get a better sense of what the numbers are going to be. So, I think that's pretty much the requests for Facebook. We could look at Netflix as well. Going to be looking at this more technically. It is past its earnings. Overall picture here is still one of a relative downtrend. We haven't even stopped our sell movement. Volume is diminishing. That's not indicative yet of a bullish move. We do need to bottom first. So we'll be looking for that relative low, but overall trend continues to be to the downside. Big picture here. Netflix doesn't really have a lot of good support structure yet. We're also seeing just a crash in the stock. 200 period on the monthly coming in at about 140, but otherwise there's really not a lot of technical support out in this time frame. Maybe something closer to these areas, but so far there's been no response yet. So the thing about drawing technical support is that you do need to see a response in the current move of the stock. Otherwise, it's just a line. So while these are areas to watch, so far we really haven't seen anything of note. So best way to buy the dollar. So yeah, if you do still want long exposure in the dollar, the best way that I find is to simply go to UUP. It's basically priced about a fourth of what the dollar index is going to be showing. So if the dollar's index is at 100, UUP should be somewhere near 25. It's not exact, but it's close enough. And as you can see, this is a very uptrending looking chart. It's also not very exciting. So keep in mind, even though this is an uptrend, we've only gone from 24 to 27, which represents about 14% over the past 52 weeks. But the moves themselves are not going to be super exciting. So this is something that if you need long exposure in your portfolio, especially with the dollar, this is kind of like just a buy it and maybe just manage it accordingly. It tends to move relatively slow. Even just looking at absolute lows here, we're talking about 24 relative lows in this time frame. So there are some futures products as well. I don't believe I have access to those. They're like small exchange type products. Yeah, I don't have access to those, so I wouldn't be able to show that that product. You'd have to be with another broker. All right, so I think that's pretty much it for today. Obviously, continue to trade safe out there. Vol is pretty high. You'll notice that the S&P is moving much more these days. I told y'all to prepare for that on Friday and Monday. We're definitely seeing 10-point swings on most days. Excuse me. And if the vol continues to expand, just think about it in relative terms. If the VIX is printing 30, expecting those $10 moves per session, pretty much on point. If the VIX continues to expand, if we're getting to 35 to 38, then we can have days like we had back in February. This right here was approximately at least from low to high, about a 20 point day. And it obviously was an all out trend day. Not saying that that's what we're looking for, but expect the unexpected. Volatility really brings out lots of just, I would say, surprising movement. And overall, this market is primed for that type of move. So trade safe, stay tuned for pre-market prep, and we'll talk more tomorrow.
All right. Good morning, my friends. Welcome to Open Market Prep. I hope everyone is having an amazing morning. I hope everyone had an incredible day yesterday. So, good morning, guys. Welcome to Open Market Prep today. Good morning, Norm. How are you doing today?
Hey, good morning, brother. I'm doing well. How are you? Get your sip of
Doing,
whiskey.
yes, doing very, very well, my friend. Um, the last couple of days, I have been so congested. Since I came back from Florida, I have not been well. But I never say I'm not well in the show because you don't know who's worse than you are. And you just like, well, me and you always say we're doing good, and who knows? But
Yeah.
I feel like I could breathe today. Still not 100%. But man, I feel so, so good today. So
Well,
I had
good.
to go to the
Glad to
doctor
hear that.
yesterday and get a much stronger spray. She says it's just allergies. And I couldn't believe her. I'm like, it's got to be something more than that. But just allergies. So
Yeah, they can kick
um,
your butt. That's for sure.
Oh, it's been brutal. My brother says you come to Florida and just stay here because I was perfectly fine down there. Guys, what a interesting day in the market has been. I feel like we have to start there. Let's just go straight to the SPY, man. It's very interesting right now what's going on. We had another sell-off day yesterday, Norm, and as you know, it's just are we
Yeah,
in a
it was
recession?
pretty brutal yesterday. We had a big bounce the day before, and then we sold off a ton yesterday.
Yeah.
It was like it just wouldn't end, especially in tech and the tech heavy Nasdaq or the Qs. So I mean, right now the Qs are essentially flat. The SPY is up 1/3%, but on pretty heavy volume at 1.5 million shares traded so far. But it's looking fairly weak as we get later in the morning. We're in the heart of earnings. Microsoft, Google reported last night, as I think you were just showing that, or there you go. Microsoft, Google. Yeah, so we've got Facebook today, amongst others. Boeing reported this morning, so we'll dig into that in a moment. But yeah, no economic news, nothing really special today. They did arrest Bill Wang, who was, remember, Archegos Capital and the whole fiasco involved in that with a whole bunch of stuff tanking.
He got arrested?
Yeah, he got arrested overnight, was what I
What was
saw.
it? What was the charges? I mean, I thought he was
Mm,
just not being
I
disciplined,
don't.
right? Holding on to everything.
I didn't get into it because I haven't even heard the guy's name, and I don't know how long it's been.
Yeah, it's been a
But
while. This was the whole Viacom, and we had that
yeah,
drop. For those
yep.
that don't know, this gentleman lost, I think it's 20 billion in a matter of 2 days. 20 something billion in a
It
matter of two
might have even
days.
been more than that, but
Yeah,
yeah, it was a lot of money. It was
insane.
fraud. Yeah, it was nuts. So anyway, it tanked a bunch of things, and put stuff in play, and actually it sent some ripples through the market that lasted for several weeks. So it was
Yeah.
interesting. It was kind of a little bit of a blast from the past. We've had so many things take place since then. I
Oh
haven't
yeah.
even thought
Yeah.
of them uh, for a while, and I heard that and I was like, oh wow, that's
Wow.
bad.
Yeah,
So
that name
anyway,
definitely rings a bell. For those that don't know, look him up. Interesting story there. Um, Guys, let's get to our list this morning. Actually, let's take a quick look at what we had yesterday, just real quickly here. We had Apple on deck. We'll look at the 5 minute here, and you can see right over here. Again, it was just another sell-off day yesterday. So if you find yourself in the right side of things, you could have done it very, very well. So here's Apple at the market open. It started selling really in the pre-market. Pre-market started losing some levels, and then that ran into, oh no, sorry, excuse me, not the wrong thing. Here it is, yeah, started selling off. Oh no, right at the open started selling off, and again, just man kept going into the after hours.
yeah.
It just kept happening, and the SPY too. The SPY kept selling off after hours. It was madness. Here's
Hell, look at
Netflix.
Tesla. Tesla was down. I don't know what
Yes,
Tesla
yeah.
ended up down, but it was down 11, 12%.
Yeah, I did not have
Uh,
this on my list, but I saw it when Artie and Andrew were talking about it yesterday in the after hours live stream, and when Andrew said it were down some crazy percent, I looked it up. I'm like, wow, they just got crushed. And Artie mentioned something. Usually when the market moves that way, the beta on these stocks is higher, so they'll
yeah.
move, two times what the market has dropped, right?
Well,
Um,
and they've got the Musk stuff going on with Twitter. And is it going to
yeah,
distract him? Is he going to have to sell shares? Is he going to be, take out loans against this? All that kind of news
yeah,
also
yeah.
included in
That's
that with Tesla.
definitely not helping them, that's for sure. That was Netflix. We had UPS as well. UPS, again, compared to everything else, was not as exciting. You had a drop before the bell, and then there just went sideways. I didn't look at Ford yesterday, actually. Ford, what did we do here? Yeah, so kind of a little bit of a sell-off, rough start, up and down action. But again, with Apple, Netflix, and other big names that I do not have on my list that you guys pointed out, you didn't need to look too far. Even Twitter yesterday, leaving 51.60, nice sell-off at the bell, and continuing down further to 48 towards the after hours. So interesting day. We'll see what the SPY is going to bring today, my friends. It's definitely going to be a whole lot of fun. Let's take a look now at our gappers list at the moment. We actually have quite a bit of stuff in the green, and I think we're just,
Bunch of trash too.
yeah, we're just getting a little bounce here on garbage. Maybe, I mean, it's just well, beside Microsoft, and what else do we
Yeah.
have here? That's the only big name I see here. But Yeah, we got a lot in the green for the way the market sold off yesterday. A few things in the red. Some names I could tell they were probably earnings because we don't usually see those in this list, but we will definitely take a look at things. So let's go ahead and remove our watch list for today. Control A, Control X gets rid of that. I don't know why is it doing that now. It doesn't delete everything. I'm not sure. There's something changed. I'm not sure. But I'll manually delete these. UPS, no, you're not staying. Apple, you might stay with us. We'll keep Apple there. Um, let's start with Nut X. Nut X here. How good can this stock be if your ticker is Nut X? All right, so let's see what we got going on here. This
That's the exact same thought I had when I first
Yeah,
saw it.
it's unreal. Up 13.3 right now, guys. This is not a low flow, 302 million shares flow. I didn't want to start looking at the comments because I already know I'm not even gonna look there. I can only imagine. So this one here, guys, started going yesterday. It is up 13.3, not a low flow. So they must have some kind of news, maybe earnings. I'm not sure. Recent IPO as well. So
No, it's on no news.
it's on no news.
Yeah.
Really? Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, so I don't know, and it was on fire yesterday. So I don't know what's going on this morning. It's
Yeah.
nuts,
It is nuts,
man.
Nut X
The
is nuts.
people, the inner 13-year-old in me is in full force right now.
I know. I
But
know you're holding back.
the comments are on fire in here. I'm not going to read the worst of them, but this stock is illegal in some states. Oh, this is nuts. Really nutting.
Yeah, yeah.
You know.
It's don't know what's happening here, but either way, guys, it is interesting though. It's a recent IPO, so maybe they figure something out. And I mean, this is good volume.
Somebody says on YouTube. I can't verify that. I haven't seen anything.
Yeah.
I looked at it. I looked at research, and it literally, one of the articles I said it moved 47 whatever percentage, massive percentage, with no company specific news. So
yes, something is funking there. Yeah, I don't see anything here, so we were definitely skipping on that one. Jason Bourne, that's a new one. It's you got to be nuts to trade that one. I agree. I agree 100%. So I think that's sensory enough that we could share that one. All right, cool. Let's move on down. I mean, doesn't look bad, but we just need more information, right? Doesn't look horrible.
Somebody says a merger. I didn't see that, but who knows?
Yeah, if it's a merger,
they say
it might
never
not be
mind.
great.
Maybe it's not. I don't know.
Good volume though, 2.2 million, 75 million yesterday. Something's up. We just don't know what it is. Somebody's not sharing some good stuff here. CNTL this morning, they are up 9%. Not the best daily. Very light on the volume. They're sitting at a 41 million shares float. I don't like anything here. I don't like the volume. The only reason why we're keeping Nut X as a possible is because the volume is good and they did well yesterday. So we want to see what's going on there. BHP. Nice gap up for BHP, 4.7, 160,000. They usually don't get great volume. You know, they're a foreign company. So we'll have to see, but not bad gap up after getting slammed from 76 to 64 up to 67. I'm going to put them as a possible. This company has been somewhat active and probably putting in some good days. You can see a slight increase in volume, nothing huge, but might be enough to kind of put it as a possible for now. A couple of tickers that we actually know very well. Now here's Lucid, then we have Lead next. Lucid, for the most part, I like the volume, 1.1 million. I don't think it hasn't been great lately. Big drop yesterday, so just maybe getting a bounce here. I'm only putting them as a possible, guys, because this is not the same Lucid we were trading a couple of months back. It is not the same type of animal. This hasn't been trading great like it was before. It was and not that it was amazing, but it was very explosive and you did get some opportunity. So I'm not sure that it has been like that the last couple of weeks, at least. I have not been watching it. Here is Lee. Not a whole lot going on. Getting a little pop here, but nothing exciting. JD, same situation here. Small pop. Similar like we had the other day where they were all gapping up, all these Chinese stocks, but there was no like volume on them. So very similar situation today. I see Billy's here, so we'll take a look at that. Same thing, just again, a small pop, 3.7, but just not a whole lot of volume this morning. DWAC is up 3.7, I guess, because Twitter is down, so these guys are up. You saw Elon Musk tweet late last night or in morning, whatever. He says DWAC is the most downloaded app on the Apple Store. I don't know who's downloading this thing. Here's yeah, I don't know. So again, I'm not gonna add it to my list, guys. I just don't think it's a great trading stock. Microsoft, did they have earnings
Yeah, they had
last
earnings
night?
last night.
Okay, Microsoft is on our list for
It
sure.
dropped quite a bit. I know Ed was trading it. He took a short on it, I believe.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, it's up. It's
So
ended up
3.7
doing
now.
not a whole
So
lot from where it
yeah.
was, but yeah, it should be interesting.
So that is good. They got great volume. It's not every day you get to see Microsoft with 1 million shares traded this early on in the morning. So definitely something to keep an eye on. I'm going to skip on PDD again. Another one that's popping up, just not a whole lot of volume. And we'll do XBEV since it's one that gets a lot of attention at times. Same thing here, just up slightly, but not a whole lot going on. All right, let's scroll back up here. So we have our NutX in view, the top one gapping up this morning. CH CHKP today, it is down 7%, 132,000 shares traded. Um, I mean, I just don't see anything good here, guys. It's leading the gap down list this morning, but this is just suspect to be at best, right? Horrible volume as well. 1.5 seems to be their average somewhere in that area. It's just not looking good.
Big earnings this
Spotify,
morning, but I agree with you.
yeah, it's just not looking great. Spotify earnings this morning, pre-market earnings. I think
Yes, they
come
had
out already.
earnings.
Yeah. All right. So
And they actually did pretty well compared to estimates, and they had good user growth. I don't really have my finger on why they're down so much.
I mean, they're
But that having been said, they trade terribly.
yeah.
So
I feel like all these. This is not a somewhat of a streaming service, music streaming, right? Not really a streaming service as far as TV or that type of
yeah,
content. But it seems like they're just this all the streaming stuff is just taking a hit. Even if you're doing music, I mean, you're taking a hit here. Wasn't this around the same time Netflix also gapped down? Right? So I mean,
uh,
it looks like it, but no, don't quote me on that. So we're down here again. This is a very difficult stock to trade, guys. We normally don't keep it on the list. Um, uh, maybe today, I don't know. It's just
and Anton's correct. It probably is guidance. I haven't looked into that just because
mhm.
I know Spotify is a terrible, terrible trader.
Yeah, they're pretty bad.
So
I
I
mean,
don't waste my
yeah,
time on things that
yeah,
generally, yeah. There was Newfie John is correct. There was some controversy over Joe Rogan right at that time. I think that is right around the time. What was it? Rumble or somebody else came out and offered essentially $100 million deal for Rogan. But I mean, it dropped and popped and moved around in that time, and essentially ended up doing nothing, following the same trend. Like I said, I don't. If I know something trades bad for me, I don't spend a ton of time on it.
yeah. I agree. Um, again, I have it here as a sympathy, I guess, but this is really not great. All right, talking about streaming services, here's Roku. Roku on the list today. They have earnings coming up tomorrow, so that's gonna be interesting. But ahead of earnings, they're not looking too decent here. See, here's what I'm talking about. This February gap down. But here it is,
Mm-hmm.
another stock that's streaming that's down 5% this morning, losing key areas of support, guys. This level 100 here just blew right through that the last couple of days. I like Roku. Not so much to the downside. I've done well with it to the upside. Let's see what it does today. I think it's worth having on here for now. Pre-market action is not going to look great. It typically tends to do that. It will get better at the market open if it's going to be in play. Let's see if the volume does rush in on this one. EQNR not looking good at all, guys. This is down 4.6, but just look at the daily.
Oil company out in Norway. It's
Is that
terrible.
okay? I was gonna say it looks foreign, but yeah, this doesn't look good. Heading a good oil if you want to trade that area is
And they've
Oxy.
got
Hmm.
yeah, but I don't even that's
That's
not
not in play.
even the
Yeah,
good play. They had
yeah,
specific, but EQNR had specific news that came out. It's nothing special.
yeah. Yeah, not looking good. We'll definitely skip on that one. Oxy, I was gonna say Oxy, but I just looked at that chart. So that's not really in
There's
play. I don't
nothing
see
there.
it, nothing happening there at the moment. Here's Robinhood, guys. Robinhood, didn't they have some kind of news? What was it? They're laying off
Right.
employees, right?
Yeah.
I
Yep.
think it is like
Exactly.
a decent percent.
9% of
So
their workforce.
that could be interesting. Typically not a great trader, but that catalyst could be interesting. We'll put them on here for now. What did I do? Nope. trying to make room. New row. Here we go. Okay. Um, all right, I'm gonna stop here. Actually, you know what? I want to look at these two, BA and Facebook. So starting with BA, this looks really good today. This looks really nice. Down 4.1. I like the volume, and 552 for Boeing is actually really good volume. Anything going on pre-market earnings?
Yeah, they had earnings this morning.
Yeah. So that's looking really good. Big hit yesterday, continuing on this morning after earnings. Yeah, definitely in play today. And then Facebook, what are these guys up to? Man, they just continue to drop. I did not think they were going to drop this much. I thought they were going to level off a little bit here around 210 or something.
Have
But they
earnings after
continue
the
to
close.
fall off here.
Yeah.
After the close today.
Google, yeah, and Google reported last night and had some real problems with advertising revenue, especially on
I
YouTube.
saw
And I
that.
think
Yeah.
that could be what's hitting Facebook before the
Yeah.
earnings.
Yeah, usually stocks are great after earnings come out. Like usually want to wait after earnings. But today, this was looking good in the pre-market, and maybe with that news of Google, we might get some action on it today. It looks actually really good, guys. Facebook today, so I'm gonna keep that one on there. 533,000 shares traded so far. That is looking nice. Norm, what you have on your end that you like today besides
Nothing. Nothing.
Nut X?
Nothing.
Nothing. All right. So we are going to take it to the chat room, guys. See what you guys like on your side. Roku 490 last July. Yeah. Yeah, these streaming services, guys. I mean, Roku, Netflix. I mean, they are just getting killed, just getting killed. So Roku, not a whole lot going on, but it can be active. Hopefully, the volume comes in. We can get some opportunities. Neo, not bad, but doesn't trade the same as it once did. Yeah, see that we kind of shift over from we were trading tech for like months on it, like all last year and the beginning of this year, we were trading tech. And the EVs had a big chunk of that last year as well. We were all on the EV that wagon there. We had incredible volume, really good movements up and down. But now that they have not been, that great. Besides Tesla, Tesla continues to do its thing. Neo today does have 903,000, but there's been a couple of days where we've seen that type of pre-market action, and it really hasn't traded well. So, I don't know. Possible for now. We'll come back to that one. Oh, I skipped a few people. ATER has inside cam levels. Let's look at ATR. I know this is the one that's been going up and down here. It's getting messy now. See, you had a couple of really clean days here. It's getting a little bit messy, especially with the way it ended yesterday. Yeah, I'll probably skip on it for today, but it needs to get better pre-market and volume as well. Spot is good. We have that one as a possible. Not good, but we looked at it. Netflix, yeah, we haven't looked at Netflix yet today. Netflix just continuing the drop here. They're down 1.6. I think Netflix is worth watching. Traded very good yesterday, like many stocks, right, towards the downside. QCOM today, do they have earnings? Because yeah, they're not looking good. I don't think they're really in play. Only 45,000 shares traded. Earnings after hours, yeah, maybe after hours they'll do something. But even when they have earnings, they're not the easiest stock to trade. And I just feel like with other big names you're going to have tomorrow, I believe that trade very well. That might not be the top of your list there. CVE, no. Clever the cat. No, this is not going to do it for us. It's just too choppy, no volume. It doesn't look good for those reasons. BA is good. We have that one looking really nice. Nada. Let's see here. Oh man. No, what is this? No. Nothing,
Nada.
nothing. Yeah, no. Isaac, I'm not even gonna look at the rest of the stuff you have there because after this one, you probably won't get a ticker in for a couple of months with me in here. Let's see, JD. JD, we looked at
They're messing
JD.
with you.
Yeah, of course we are, man. JD, no good at the moment. I think they're pretty quiet here. So, all right, we are all set. Coffee, yes, coffee. I have coffee on deck. All right,
It's
we're
tough,
pretty
man.
good.
The market's been so weak recently. People are freaked out to try to get in anything.
I agree, man. But there's gonna be some good names that are
Sure.
gonna become on sale, right? If you're playing long term stuff, we don't talk about that in this show here. We just don't have enough time. But there's some stuff that it's getting close to those value areas, some solid companies. So if you're swing trading, make sure you sign up for uh, Brian's swing trading alerts. Make sure you do that. And also, Artie has a newsletter in the P Capital website. You can sign up for that. If somebody can throw the link on there. He's throwing out a couple of articles here and there that are really, really good. And obviously, you guys seen the stuff that he's doing on YouTube. Just Artie's putting in some serious knowledge out there. So
Yeah,
take advantage, man. He's doing great. Um,
greatness.
Over in our YouTube chat, what do we have here? Electrical BA misses earnings. Yeah, that we have that on deck, so that's looking good. Raul, ENPH. The few times I seen this ticker, it has not looked well, and today is not any different. I mean, it's gapping up 9.2, which is nice. Doesn't really have the volume. Maybe we have to wait for the market open. But my experience on this ticker, man, it's just it trades horrible. It really doesn't trade well. Look at the volume here, 3.4. It just doesn't trade very well. Doesn't trade heavy volume. Look at this drop from 180 to 155 on almost what 4 million shares traded. That's not a good sign. I can only imagine how bad the spread and the price action was with that there. So, all right, not a whole lot there. Roku we have. Okay, good guys. A lot of stuff you guys are throwing out. We already took a look at. If anything else comes up, we'll have more time towards the end to go over those. Let's get over to our community event and announcement for this week and next.
All right. Carlos's technology webinar on using news alerts to find scanners, news alerts to find trading opportunities should be posted by now. And then we've got Dash Trader Pro Q&A with Kyle next Monday at 8. Also, he'll be going over the beta info on the latest beta version that they have released. Eamon's webinar will be posted very soon on his parabolic reversal strategy. And then next week, implied volatility demystified by Artie. As Carlos mentioned, he's dropping all kinds of knowledge bombs. That's Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Psychology webinar tonight at 8 p.m. is going to be Mike talking about fear of missing out. And then next weekend, Dr. Kenneth Reed, 8 p.m., will be talking about the humble trend line. It's very modest. Mentorship tomorrow, 11, 4, and 8. Especially that 4 o'clock with the after hours earnings trades. That should be killing it.
Oh, yeah. That'll be fun. Yep.
And then stocktradingsimulator.com. That's our free web-based replay simulator. You can go there, sign up, and use it for free. There's no add-ons or anything like that. The whole thing is free. Stocktradingsimulator.com. If you're watching on YouTube and you haven't been in the room, you'd like to give it a shot, go to bearbulltraders.com, scroll down about halfway down the page. You'll see the Test Drive Now button. Click it, fill it out, use the promo code PREMARKET24 for a discount. 7 calendar days, 5 trading days in the room. And if you'd like to get access to all the webinars I was describing, both the recorded ones from the past and the present and future ones, use the promo code SPRING50 for half off the Elite annual membership.
All right, thank you very much, Norm. Guys, let's get to it. Let's get to our list today. We got some good names, I feel, some big names at least. Let's see if they can pull together a couple of nice trades this morning. Guys, hit that thumbs up over on YouTube if you haven't done so. I see a couple of you guys asking how you sign up for Brian's list and Artie's list. Actually, no, we got a couple of minutes. Let me show you guys before we get to our watch list here. We're a little bit ahead of time, so we can afford to do that. Let's go ahead here. This is a trading terminal, by the way, an amazing website. Definitely take advantage of that. Let's go over to bearbulltraders.com. We'll start there first. And what you can do here is if you come over to, I believe it's webinars. No, actually it might be education. Here it is. Go over to education, and then you're going to slide down all the way to the bottom. Let me see, because sometimes we update this site and might make changes to it. Nope, I'm correct. It's right here. So go over to our website, hit on education. In fact, I'll send you the link right now so you have it. And then towards the bottom, you can sign up for Brian's Swing Trade newsletter. So pretty straightforward, guys. We don't sell your email address. You do not have to be a member, and it's completely free. You're going to get a newsletter from him saying what he likes, what he's looking at, some of his positions. Very clean email, just like our website, tradingterminal.com. Very clean, very straightforward, and to the point, which is what I love about the way we're doing things here. So take advantage of that. And then the other one is going to be over at P Capital. You're going to head over. Actually, Andrew had the link there ready for you guys. So take a look at that. That link is right over here. Oh, at P Capital, and you can sign up for Artie's alerts. So this is going to be over at research. Click on research. You can see some of the stuff he has released already. So I was reading some of this yesterday. Really, really good stuff. You can see them on there. But then you can also sign up for the newsletter right on here. Again, completely free, guys. We're not going to ask you to put in a credit card or anything. And you're just going to get just that information. We're not going to bomb you with all kinds of stuff. So take advantage of that. So a lot of good stuff happening there. All right, folks, let's get to our list this morning. We are going to start here with Apple. At the moment is on top of my list is 1.1 million shares traded. Pretty much flat right now. Price action just hovering below the previous day close, the king of all levels, and that's looking good, creating a nice support area there. I like that. And I love the daily, so clean on Apple towards the downside here. So we'll see today where it goes. We're sitting right below a level of great support right here. We got a couple of very clean levels we'll mark down in a second. We have Microsoft as well. Microsoft looking really nice. Also earnings. Was it this morning on Microsoft? Let me just check myself here. No, yesterday after hours. 1.1 million shares traded. That's the most I think I've seen on Microsoft in the pre-market. So that's definitely going to be fun to watch today. Roku, not a whole lot going on, but I do like this one. Ahead of earnings, they are dropping here and not looking too good at the moment. We'll see how the bell treats that one. Here's BA, also on earnings as well. You're seeing a nice little drop here. Again, just continue to lose a lot of these levels. This looks good. And I like the volume. It's climbing pretty nice right now, 600,000. If you know BA, if you've been looking at it for a while, you know that their pre-market is not great. They don't get this type of volume. Today they're seeing that. So I definitely like what I see there. And BA can trade very well. When BA is in play, it is a great stock because the continuations are so clean, I feel like. So I'm looking forward to that one today. Here's Facebook just continuing to drop and lose some ground here. They are down 3.7. We have not been down here in Facebook in I don't know when. We need the weekly here. It's been probably pandemic time frame. We're recovering. So again, it's been a while since we've been down here. A lot of companies hitting these post-pandemic, or not pandemic, but post-COVID breakout numbers here. So we'll see what happens. Here is Netflix. Netflix continues to put in another red day yesterday, red day after red day for them. Are they going to sell off today? Not a whole lot of activity in the pre-market, but I like this one also. Couple of secondary stuff here. Possibles. We'll see where these goes. At the moment, I'm just kind of going through them, see if there's anything that sticks out that we should be considering at the moment, but not really. Nut X is probably one that's looking really nice right now because we're coming up towards the high of the pre-market now. So that's holding. That's good. That's what you want to see. What you do not want to see on these crazy pops is, early pop and then just kind of dwindling down and not finding any type of base, heading back to that pre-market high. The fact that we are heading back to that pre-market high, we had such a big day yesterday. Yeah, this might be something for us to keep an eye on this morning. Let's get some levels in, guys. We'll start with Apple here. I'm going to remove some of the stuff we had already on deck, and we are going to take a look here. Apple, beautiful, beautiful support here. Even if this does not stay the low of the pre-market, I think it's a level you have to mark down because if you just draw a line across, you can see how much support you're getting here in the pre-market with some good volume. 1 million shares traded. That's beautiful stuff there. So that 156.10, you want to have that down towards the top, guys. You're pretty set. Even your high of your pre-market, pretty much the low from 2 days ago. So again, do not need to do anything there. That is taking care of you there. Towards the bottom, let's take a look here. Also, look at this previous day close line, guys. Look at the low of the pre-market at the moment, an area where we've seen some decent support on Apple. We do have one area, probably a minor area of support and resistance right over here around 154.55, and then all the way down here, of course, 150.26. I don't think we'll get there. That's a stretch. You have one single candle at the moment, unless I go back and find more confirmation. Yeah, actually, there's more confirmation on this one. 151 might actually be 152. You got a little bit of confirmation happening here and here as resistance, then support here. This insane gap down day. Look at this gap down. Look at the run. Just incredible. Maybe that could be a minor area of support and resistance. The big one is this one, I think, today. if we are going to sell down, can we hold off that from dropping off that 154? Here is Microsoft on earnings right now. Great volume, 1.2, getting a little bit of a bounce from the lows from the highs of yesterday. Actually, this is the high of yesterday there. A big drop and kind of recovering a little bit today. Towards the bottom, you got plenty of stuff. Maybe I see this one, and this is a small possible. You got 2 days bouncing off of that, opening and closing right around 273.63. Again, not a huge level. It's not like one of these where you're seeing tons of action, a lot of touches, right? The more touches a level has, the stronger that level is going to be. You can see the action around this 282, 280-ish level. Just a whole lot going on. Every time it gets there, it does a little dance, so that's good. Towards the top, guys, high of the pre-market, we're looking at 285.53. So I'm going to mark that there. That's a good one. And then we also have a very clean one up here, 292.72. Also a nice one on Microsoft as well off the daily. I think 290 might be one as well, just because it's a whole dollar number. And around that 289, you do see a couple of wicks just slamming up against that. A couple of days opening, closing right around that area. So that might be worth putting on here as well. Plenty of level towards the top here on Microsoft. Clean level, so we're good there. Here is Roku, guys. Again, not a whole lot in the pre-market. Looking forward to see how the bell is going to treat this one. 86.66 is the high of the pre-market. Let's look towards the bottom. Last time we were here, I'm just going to go ahead and look at the weekly now, because we got to go back quite a bit here with a lot of these streaming services that have been doing very well after the pandemic and just kind of coming back down to reality here, losing subscribers, not good earnings, just a whole lot going on in that area. 79.80, good level on the daily, and then we have here all the way down here. This is 58.61, man. Just to think about Roku at 58, that's insane. That's not gonna happen today. I hope not. But 87 right now, still a very low number. We were sitting pretty nice just a few months ago. So there you have it on Roku, guys. You are set there. Highs and lows of the last 2 trading days towards the top, creating good levels here. Really nicely spaced out. You are all set there on Roku. Here is BA, beautiful pre-market activity at the moment. Just love what we're seeing there. Low of the pre-market, 158 on the dot there. Actually, I'm going to remove some levels first. Clean this up towards the top a little bit, because we do have our highs and lows doing a pretty good job. We have our previous day close doing amazing stuff there. High of the pre-market is sitting around, what, 168.99? So 168.99, high of your pre-market. Towards the bottom, we are looking at the low of the pre-market at 158 on the dot. So 158 on the dot towards the bottom. We're going to go to the left here a little bit on the BA. And I want to see, do we have, man, we haven't been down here in quite a bit as well. Let's go ahead and jump to the weekly here and see what do we have. We're moving down to July, actually October, November time frame. Yeah, we could take some off the weekly here as well. We could do 143. I don't think we'll get there. There might be some better stuff on the daily, actually. I don't like some of these weekly levels. This is a bigger picture here, 144.44, 144.95. But I believe within here you have to have some good daily stuff as well. But I'm not going to take the time to do that now. I think we are good with the 158 and the 156 that we have at the moment. If that does drop below that 156, 155, we will definitely go back there and pick up some good levels off the daily. Here is Facebook, guys. Facebook is looking really good today as far as how active it is. Volume dropping down 4% at the moment. 173 is your low of your pre-market, 173.33. Another one that we'll have to go back quite a bit to get to that level, so we're not going to do that just now. Towards the top, highs and lows of the last 2 trading days. And I think you know what? We're going to have to go back, because I think Facebook can continue to drop here. Let's go ahead and see if that weekly can give us some good levels. And it actually does have some pretty decent stuff here, guys. 168. And then we also have 160. So 2 levels towards the bottom there that could be significant for Facebook off the weekly. I like that 162. Look at that 160. Man, look how beautiful this is. I mean, can levels get more cleaner than that, right? The levels should be as clean as this. When you have a good stock with a good daily, your levels are just going to stick out and pop out. You should not be struggling to find levels. If you are, and you're the only one watching that level, that's a problem. That's not a good thing, right? It needs to be as clear as possible, so everybody else cannot mistake that for a level. Here is Netflix. Netflix at the moment towards the top. You are set, guys. after this gap down has been red day after red day after red day, and today starting off red as well. So low of the pre-market 194.55 at the moment. We'll see if that's going to hold there. Another one that we got to look at the weekly, because we haven't been here since 2017, maybe 2018. Yeah, late 2017, guys. So it's been a while. So weekly here, we got 185. Lower than that, we do have 178. Two good levels towards the bottom there off the weekly on Netflix. So let's see where this goes, guys. Towards the top, you're pretty much set. Previous day close and everything else on there. All right, excellent. A lot to go through there because we had to dig a little bit to go back and be able to get some levels. A lot of these stocks hitting their 52-week low. I mean, just falling apart here as the SPYs also are taking a little bit of a dive the last couple of days. Right now, it was up nicely 420, and now we're just dropping back to the previous day close. Are we going to pass this level of support here, right? We got a little bit of support there around that 416. What is the plans for the SPY today? So it's going to be interesting, guys, no matter how we slice it or dice it today. Looking forward to it. All right, we got a little time for questions. What do you guys are thinking? Any questions that we can get to? Over on YouTube, hit that thumbs up. We appreciate it very much. Sitting at 150, we'd love to get to 420. That's going to be the number now, 420. We'd love to get there if we can. Obviously, I'm kidding, but your support is really, really appreciated. So thank you guys for that. All right, questions. Anything that we missed? Moderators lineup is coming up shortly. I got a few on here already. As far as IPOs, I got Peter reporting 2 IPOs, OST and TNON for today. So no SPACs at the moment for today. We haven't seen a lot of SPACs recently, just like 2 in the last month, or unless I missed something. Tesla new lows here. Yeah, we looked at Tesla. Did we not add? No, we didn't add Tesla. Actually, Tesla is good. We should add them. I thought we did. We spoke about their action yesterday, but yeah, Tesla has to be on our list. And someone did mention it in our members chat here as well, in our chat room. And I just thought we had it. That's why I didn't kind of look at that comment. But no, we don't. Let's add them on here. Low of the pre-market right here, guys. Around 880 at the moment. I'm gonna mark this down. Then below that, we got your previous day close, which is looking good. High after pre-market, we were as high as 907. In the pre-market. So 907 down to 880 at the moment, and dropping great volume, 979,000. So that's looking pretty good there. Good levels here, guys, on the daily. Another stock that tends to have decent levels right on there. 884 is a nice one. You also have one down here around 800. That whole dollar number, 800 was the thing. You guys remember that? 800 was the thing. We were sitting at like 400, 600. 800 was the deal. So we're in the vicinity of that, not quite there yet. 758 also down here as well. So good areas of support for Tesla. It is definitely in play today, guys, with everything going on. Just the drop yesterday on Tesla. I think this must have been the biggest drop loss in a company yesterday. I mean, this thing is just, at least it seems that way. It might not, because the price is pretty high as far as percentage, but man, the chart, it just looks nuts. Looks nuts. All right. Carl, so what charity does already have to donate to if he shaves his face? I am not sure what charity. We'll let him pick the charity of his choice. But yeah, I'm actually going to go on Amazon today. We're going to get him a kit. Let's get him a kit so he can grow his beard out. A nice kit with a shampoo and all that stuff, because it's going to take a while, I think. But I still want Artie to give me some firm numbers. Are we looking at can he shave after we hit all-time high again? I mean, we need something firm, right? If you guys noticed, when Norm did this, he gave us a firm numbers. He was firm in his decision. We need Artie to do that, because I don't want to see a bounce and on a 1 minute say we're in a bull market because he wants to shave. So we gotta we gotta make it firm. All right, I noticed that when you create your watch list and after the market opens, sometimes you do not trade any of the symbols on the watch list. May I know where you look when the market opens? That's a great question. So the first thing I'm doing is I'm going to bring this down to 6. Next, we're going to look at the moderators lineup. I'll see if they have something that maybe I have not looked at. And I'm going to have 6 tickers here that I am going to have on my charts. And then I assume that this is what the moderators do, right? They're looking at their watches that they have here. For example, Peter, AMD, Microsoft, Lucid, secondary list, BA, Team MUS, and Apple. So he's going to have that on his main list up and ready to go. Sometimes that list, what we have, doesn't trade very well. So what we'll do is we'll be looking at the scanners, right? And you guys got access to the trade idea scanners right off the website here as part of your membership. So don't forget where it says recording Carlos, because I forgot to change my name. If you do a drop down on that, you can hit trade ideas and you're going to see the scanners there. So I'll be looking at the scanners on trade ideas. Something might come up in that turbo breakup, turbo breakdown scanner that we don't have on our list, right? That's a beautiful scanner for the market open, by the way. If you trade the 5-minute, the 1-minute open range breakouts, that turbo breakup and turbo breakdown is really, really good. Now, you're not going to pull up everything that comes up on there. Pull up the ones that you see that keep hitting the tape, not the tape, keep hitting the scanner, right? It'll be like you'll see something like Twitter. So a couple of names in between that you never heard of. You might not want to spend your time on that. You might see some names that you recognize quickly, companies that trade very well. Switch to those, because that means that company is getting value for whatever reason. If you see something you like, you take a trade on something that was not on your list. That's usually what I do. Or sometimes you might scan as if nothing's happening up here, which I don't think today is going to be the case. We got some really good names up here, guys. You look at your secondary list and see if there's anything moving. I won't be having this list up, though. I'll tell you that much. And then another way you're going to get scanners, and every indicator, every tool has its good and its bad, right? Positive and negative. The one thing positive about a chat room is that there will be people that are going to call out some things that look very good that are moving that you might not have on your list, right? You just got to be responsible. Don't switch over and start just taking a trade because somebody calls something out. Be responsible with the chat room. Pull up the ticker. See if it matches your trade book. Do you see something on your trade book that you can trade on something that Kenneth, Dan, and Enrico, Midas, John called out, right? Be responsible. So don't just take a list. Don't just take a trade just to take a trade, right? And then that's another way to find opportunities. And then you have Andrew and Brian trading live. And if you're in Ed's room, you have Ed trading live. They're also going to be calling out opportunities on stuff they see. So there's so many different ways you can find tickers that are not going to be on your list. We just got to be responsible, right? Don't be irresponsible. Just start taking trades because somebody called it out. That's gonna hurt you big time. How important are after hours levels? It depends. It depends what they are. I think they could be okay. I like daily levels better because you have more volume. Unless it's an after hour level where you have earnings, that has a lot of volume. If it's just regular movement with no volume, I don't put too much weight on it. But I love these daily levels, guys. The highs and lows from the last 2 trading days. I have to make a video on this. Now that I'm feeling better, I wanted to make a video on levels for YouTube, so I will do that on what we're doing there. But yeah, it depends. It depends how much volume is there. All right, 9:16, guys. Let's get to our moderators lineup. Running just a minute behind here, but some good questions this morning. Love that. Let's get our thing lined up over here. We'll see what our moderators are looking at this morning. As I am doing this, guys, I hate to ask, but I know sometimes you might forget. As you're running your treadmill, as you're doing your thing, having your breakfast, you might forget to hit that thumbs up button. It happens. Listen, I'm not a great thumbs up button on other videos. I'm trying to become a better thumbs up button guy when I watch videos for other things, my personal stuff. Because I'd be surprised how they'd be videos of people like with 19,000 views and so many little likes. I'm like, guys, hit the like button, right? So I'm starting to become better. I'm starting to campaign on that. So if you could help us here, I appreciate it very much. It does mean a lot to the channel. All right, let's take a look here, guys, at our watch list, starting with Mike. He's looking at BA, Microsoft, and Facebook. Peter, as I mentioned, there's the IPOs that are coming out for today. His list, AMD, Microsoft, Lucid, secondary list, BA, TMUS, Apple. Tiffany's looking at Microsoft and Facebook. Thor is looking at Microsoft. And look at this, alerts. And you also have the pivot bot, is it, Thor? Throw out that link there for those on Twitter. So they can follow. But he's going to be looking at those alerts, which have been pretty good to find opportunities. Watches for DEMA, Apple, BA, and LI. And then Megan is looking at Apple, Microsoft, Netflix, and LVS this morning. Guys, so much to watch today. Very, very exciting times. It's going to be a great open. I hope that it is. I hope that we get some good continuation today. Either way, be patient. When it's Andrew said something very good yesterday. When it's a lot of volatility, sometimes you just got to wait. an hour or two, and you might catch some good opportunities on reversals if things are heavy in one direction. So just be patient. If the morning is not setting up, we have hours to trade, right? You don't have to take trades in the first couple of minutes. Give yourself time to find good opportunities. Over on Twitter, over on YouTube, there's the link from Thor, and in our chat as well. Make sure you sign up for that. Oh, here's Brian's list. Brian's throwing me a curveball. He's putting his list down here in the message. So Brian's list is Spot, V, Lucid, SQQQ, and TQQQ. For some reason, he cannot post. Did you get the memo from HR yet? Probably haven't got the memo yet, but that's okay. You'll be getting it shortly, Brian. Just kidding, man. Nothing but love. Guys, take care. Brian and Andrew up next. Have a great morning. 255 likes, guys. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. And we'll see you guys tomorrow. Remember, Andrew and Artie are going live at times at the market close. So sign up and hit the bell so you can get notified when they go live so you don't miss that great content they're putting out there, guys. So take care. See you guys tomorrow.